The strange lights appeared on a Tuesday. Sam Harris saw them first, tiny pinpricks moving against the stars as he worked the night shift at Luna Defense Station. Sam had been watching the long-range scanners for 3 years now. Nothing ever happened. Until today. "Hey, Gina, are you seeing this?" Sam called to his supervisor. Gina Alvarez looked up from her coffee. Her eyes widened as she saw the scanner display. "Those aren't ours," she said. She pressed the emergency alert button. Within minutes, the quiet control room turned into a hive of activity. Officers rushed to stations. Phones rang. Screens lit up with data. "Whatever they are, they're slowing down near Jupiter," Sam said. His hands shook slightly as he tracked the objects. No human ships could move that fast or slow down that quickly. Everyone in the room knew what this meant. We are not alone. 12 hours later, Dr. Olivia Wright stepped off the transport shuttle at Luna Base. She hadn't slept since getting the call from NASA. As Earth's leading expert in theoretical alien languages, she had spent her career preparing for this moment. "Dr. Wright?" A young officer met her at the airlock. "I'm Lieutenant Peterson. This way, please." They hurried through crowded hallways. Luna Base hadn't been built for this many people. Scientists, military personnel, and government officials from every major nation had arrived within hours of the discovery. In the main conference room, General Andrew Ross stood before a large screen showing 7 sleek, dark ships in Jupiter's orbit. "They're sending a signal," he said as Olivia entered. "Repeated bursts in patterns. We think it's a language." Olivia set up her equipment. "Show me everything you've recorded," she said. For 3 days, Olivia barely left her workstation. She analyzed the signals, finding patterns, building a basic translation matrix. The signals were complex but followed rules. By the 4th day, she had enough to understand simple concepts. "They're calling themselves the Draxians," she told the emergency council. "And they're not here to make friends." Jack Collins was tending his small farm in Ohio when the news broke worldwide. Aliens had made contact. Jack turned up his television and watched with his neighbors as the president addressed the nation. "The visitors have made demands," the president said, her voice steady but strained. "They want access to Earth's resources, particularly our water and certain minerals. We are attempting peaceful negotiations." Jack knew that tone. He had spent 15 years as a Marine before retiring to farm his family's land. That was the voice of someone preparing for war. 2 days later, a car with government plates pulled into his driveway. A man in a suit stepped out. "Mr. Collins, I'm Agent Diaz. With Defense Intelligence, your country needs you." Within hours, Jack was on a plane to the newly established Earth Defense Command in Colorado. The underground facility buzzed with activity as military personnel from around the world worked side by side. "Collins, good to see you," said Colonel Laura Simmons, his former commanding officer. "We're putting together special response teams. The diplomatic mission leaves for Mars orbit tomorrow. If things go south, we need to be ready." The diplomatic team included representatives from 12 nations aboard Earth's most advanced spaceship, the USS Defiant. Captain Lisa Martinez felt the weight of history as she guided the ship toward the meeting point. "All systems normal, Captain," reported her first officer, Ben Chen. "We're approaching the coordinates." 3 Draxian ships waited near Mars. Up close, they looked even more alien. Smooth, dark hulls with no visible windows or hatches shaped like arrowheads. Ambassador Helen Pierce led the diplomatic team. "Open communications," she ordered. The meeting began with basic exchanges. The humans sent images and mathematical equations as peaceful gestures. The Draxians responded with their own symbols. Dr. Wright, monitoring from Luna Base, worked frantically to interpret. "Something's wrong," she radioed Captain Martinez. "These new signals don't match their previous patterns. They're using different..." Her warning came too late. The lead Draxian ship suddenly emitted a bright pulse. 2 smaller human vessels, flanking the USS Defiant, exploded instantly. "Shields up, evasive maneuvers," Captain Martinez shouted. The bridge rocked as energy weapons struck the ship. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Direct hit on engines," Ben reported. Shields at 40%. Lisa gripped her command chair. Get us out of here. Maximum emergency thrust toward Earth. The USS Defiant turned and accelerated, taking more hits as it fled. The Draxian ships followed but broke off pursuit as they approached Earth's defense perimeter. Ambassador Pierce was among the 37 casualties. As the damaged ship limped home, Captain Martinez recorded her report. They never intended to negotiate, she said grimly. This was an ambush from the start. Back on Earth, the news spread quickly. Panic gripped cities worldwide. Some people fled to rural areas. Others joined long lines at military recruitment centers. At the emergency United Nations session, Olivia Wright presented her complete translation of the Draxian message. Your planet has resources we require. Surrender them willingly and we will allow some humans to survive as laborers. Resist and face extinction. You have 7 Earth days to submit your answer. The world leaders looked at each other. For once, there was no disagreement. Tell them our answer, the Secretary General said. At Luna Base, Sam Harris watched the scanner as Earth's combined fleet moved into defensive positions. The Draxian ships had multiplied. There were now over 50 approaching from Jupiter. Jack Collins suited up with his newly formed strike team. They would board the USS Defiant, now repaired and upgraded for combat. Their mission: defend Earth, at all costs. Dr. Wright continued working, looking for any weakness in the Draxian communications that might help. Captain Martinez stood on the bridge of her ship, looking at the faces of her crew. They were scared but determined. All ships report ready, Captain, Ben said. The Draxians wanted war, Lisa said quietly, and we're going to give it to them. As the alien fleet approached, humanity prepared for the greatest fight in its history. No one knew if Earth would survive. But they knew one thing for certain: humans would not surrender without a battle. The war for Earth had begun. The first attack came at dawn. Draxian ships darkened the sky above major cities. Their weapons cut through buildings like paper. Earth's defense systems fired back, but most missiles couldn't touch the alien ships. Nancy Kim worked frantically in her lab below Denver. She hadn't slept in 3 days. Coffee cups and food wrappers littered her desk. As the lead engineer for the Global Defense Initiative, she knew Earth's survival depended on her team. The shield prototypes are ready for testing, she told her assistant Paul. A loud boom shook the underground facility. Dust fell from the ceiling. They're getting closer, Paul said, his voice shaking. Nancy nodded. Then we better hurry. The shield technology was experimental, designed to block the energy, weapons the Draxians used. If it worked, it could protect key military bases and cities. If it failed, millions more would die. In orbit, the battle raged. Captain Lisa Martinez's USS Defiant led a group of Earth ships against the alien fleet. Her vessel had been quickly repaired after the failed peace mission, but scars still marked its hull. Target the lead ship, Lisa ordered. All weapons. The Defiant's guns fired in sync with 5 other human ships. The combined firepower finally broke through one Draxian ship's defenses. It exploded in a flash of blue light. We got one, shouted Ben Chen from his station. The victory was short-lived. 3 more human ships vanished from radar, destroyed by Draxian fire. Lisa grimaced. They were losing badly. Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command, said the communications officer. The face of General Frank Taylor appeared on screen. His gray hair was messy, and his uniform wrinkled. He had been called out of retirement when the war began. Captain, Martinez, we need you to fall back to defend Luna Base, he said. We can't lose the moon, it's our only source of vital minerals for the new weapons. Yes, sir, Lisa replied, though retreating felt like failure. All ships, pull back to lunar orbit. On Earth, Jack Collins led his team through the ruins of Chicago. Their mission was to rescue civilians trapped when the Draxians had destroyed the downtown area. They moved quickly, weapons ready. Movement ahead, warned Sergeant Joe Garcia, pointing to a collapsed building. Jack held up his hand, signaling the team to stop. Stay alert. We don't know if they've put boots on the ground yet. They approached carefully. A small girl emerged from the rubble, crying. Jack rushed forward, scooped her up, and ran back to cover just as a Draxian scout ship passed overhead. "We've got 8 more civilians in that basement," the girl whispered, pointing to a nearby building. "My mom is hurt bad." Jack looked at his team. "Let's move. Quick and quiet." At Luna Base, Dr. Olivia Wright made a breakthrough. She had been studying Draxian communications non-stop since the war began. Now she thought she understood something important. "General Taylor," she said, entering the command center. "I think I know why they attacked us." The general looked up from the battle maps. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. "Go on." "The Draxians aren't just after our resources," Olivia explained. "Their language has specific terms for worthy enemies and combat evolution. I think they deliberately provoked this war to test us, to see how we fight." "You're saying they want war for war's sake?" the general asked. "Yes. Their culture values combat above all else. They believe fighting worthy opponents makes them stronger. This new information changed everything. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting an enemy that wanted the war to continue." Meanwhile, Nancy Kim's shield technology was deployed to protect key installations. The first test came when Draxians attacked the Global Defense Base in Australia. Nancy watched the video feed from her lab in Denver. The Draxian energy weapons hit the shield and dissipated in bursts of light. The base remained undamaged. "It works," Paul shouted, hugging Nancy. She allowed herself a brief smile. "Now we need to scale it up, fast." Earth began to strengthen its defenses. Nancy's shields protected more areas each day. Human weapons were modified based on battle data, becoming more effective against Draxian ships. Dr. William Jones, working in a secure lab in London, made another important discovery. He had been studying a damaged piece of Draxian technology recovered from a crashed scout ship. "Their power systems have a flaw," he told his team. "They use a form of antimatter containment that becomes unstable when exposed to a specific frequency of radiation. This was the weakness Earth needed." Dr. Jones immediately sent his findings to General Taylor. 3 weeks into the war, the tide began to turn. Earth's forces, now equipped with weapons that could target the Draxian weak points, started to win more battles. In lunar orbit, Captain Martinez received new orders. "The USS Defiant will lead the first major counterattack," General Taylor informed her. "Your target is their command ship near Mars." Lisa gathered her crew. "This won't be easy," she told them. "But for the first time, we have a real chance to hurt them." On Earth, Jack Collins and his team were reassigned. They would join a special forces unit tasked with boarding a Draxian ship. Their mission: capture alien technology and, if possible, take prisoners for questioning. Jack met his new team at a hidden base in the Rocky Mountains. Among them was Commander Eric Bradley, a former spy with experience in infiltration. "Our job is to get in and out without being noticed," Eric explained. "We need to understand how they think, how they fight, what their weaknesses are." Dr. Olivia Wright would join them, her knowledge of Draxian language essential to the mission. "I've never been in combat," she admitted to Jack during training. "Stay close to me," he said. "I'll get you home safe." The Draxians established a blockade around Earth, cutting off access to the moon colonies. Supplies on Luna Base were running low. Sam Harris, still monitoring communications there, watched as the situation grew dire. "We have food for maybe 2 more weeks," Station Commander Gina Alvarez announced to her staff. "Water recycling is at maximum capacity." Sam had an idea. "What if we modify the short-range shuttles, make them look like debris on radar?" Gina considered this. "It might work. We could smuggle critical intelligence back to Earth." As Earth prepared for its first major offensive, Nancy Kim worked to adapt her shield technology for spaceships. Dr. Jones fine-tuned his radiation weapon. General Taylor coordinated the global forces. The next phase of the war was about to begin. Humanity had suffered terrible losses, but they had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. The Draxians had wanted war. Now they would see what humans were capable of when fighting for their survival. The counterattack was ready. 6 months into the war, Earth looked different. Ruined cities stood next to military bases protected by Nancy Kim's shields. People lived underground or in reinforced shelters. But humanity had not given up. They had been learning, adapting, and preparing. In a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Sam Harris briefed a room full of officers. He had successfully escaped Luna Base with critical intelligence, making a dangerous journey through the Draxian blockade in a shuttle, disguised as space debris. The Draxians have established a massive forward base on Mars, Sam explained, pointing to images on the large screen. Their main fleet is gathering there. Based on their movements, we believe they're planning a final massive attack on Earth. General. Frank Taylor nodded grimly. Then we need to strike first. The plan they developed was called Operation Thunderstrike. It would be humanity's first major offensive action in the war. The target, the Draxian base on Mars. Lieutenant Sam Harris would lead a small stealth team to disable the aliens' long-range sensors. Captain Lisa Martinez and the USS Defiant would then lead the main attack force. Major Patricia Miller, a brilliant tactician who had won several defensive battles, would coordinate the entire operation from Earth Command. Dr. Olivia Wright had spent the last 6 months learning more of the Draxian language. Now she could understand most of their military communications. This would be crucial for the operation. I've created translation software that can decode their transmissions in real time, she told the planning team. We'll know their orders, almost as soon as their ships do. Jack Collins and Commander Eric Bradley would lead the ground assault once the space battle was underway. Their mission: capture key Draxian technology and gather intelligence from their base. 2 days before the mission, Dr. William Jones arrived with new weapons. These emit the specific radiation frequency that disrupts their power systems, he explained, showing the special rifles to Jack's team. But you have to get close, within 50 meters. Jack hefted one of the weapons. We'll get close enough. Nancy Kim had also been busy. We've adapted the shield technology for your combat suits, she told them. It won't stop everything, but it might keep you alive long enough to complete the mission. The night before Operation Thunderstrike, many couldn't sleep. The mission would determine Earth's fate. If they failed, the Draxian invasion fleet would arrive intact, and humanity might not survive. Sam Harris sat alone in his quarters, looking at a photo of his family. They lived in one of the underground cities now, safer than most, but still in danger. He tucked the photo into his pocket. Tomorrow he would help decide if they had a future. Captain Lisa Martinez walked through the USS Defiant, checking on her crew. The ship had been upgraded with technology reverse-engineered from Draxian wreckage. It was now the most advanced vessel humans had ever built, but it was still outmatched by the larger Draxian warships. Get some sleep, she told her first officer, Ben Chen. Tomorrow will be a long day. Do you think we can win this, Captain? Ben asked quietly. Lisa thought for a moment. I think we can hurt them badly enough that they'll think twice about that invasion. And that's a start. Operation Thunderstrike began at 400 Earth time. Sam Harris and his stealth team departed first in a small ship with experimental cloaking technology. They slipped past the Draxian patrols near Mars and landed in the red dust 5 kilometers from the alien base. Move out, Sam whispered. The team advanced slowly across the Martian landscape, their modified suits allowing them to move quietly despite the low gravity. They reached the sensor array without being spotted. Sam planted the disruptors on the alien equipment. Small devices, designed by Nancy Kim, they would create false readings in the Draxian detection systems. Devices planted, Sam reported through the secure channel. Activating now. Back on the USS Defiant, Captain Martinez received the signal. All ships move into attack formation, she ordered. Weapons hot. The human fleet emerged from hiding behind Phobos, one of Mars's moons. 20 ships, the best Earth had left, accelerated toward the Draxian base. In Earth Command, Major Patricia. Miller watched the tactical display. First wave, target their defensive batteries, she ordered. Second wave, focus on their communication hub. The battle began. Human ships fired their new weapons, targeting the weak points in Draxian technology that Dr. Jones had discovered. The aliens, caught by surprise due to their malfunctioning sensors, scrambled to respond. On Mars's surface, Jack Collins and Eric Bradley led their team toward the Draxian base as the space battle raged overhead. "Security is lighter than expected," Eric noted as they approached. They must have sent forces to deal with the attack. They entered the base through an emergency airlock, weapons ready. The inside of the Draxian structure was strange. Curved walls with pulsing lights and an atmosphere slightly different from Earth normal. They wore their sealed suits just in case. "This way," Jack said, following the map they had developed from orbital scans. "The command center should be ahead." In orbit, the battle intensified. The USS Defiant took heavy damage from a Draxian cruiser but kept fighting. "Shields at 30%, Ben reported. "Port weapons offline." "Target their flagship," Lisa ordered. "Everything we've got left." The Defiant and two other human ships concentrated fire on the largest Draxian vessel. Their weapons found the weak spot in its power system. The alien flagship erupted in a massive explosion that damaged nearby Draxian ships. Dr. Olivia Wright, monitoring communications from Earth, picked up increased chatter among the aliens. "They're panicking," she told Major Miller. "Their commander was on that flagship. Their command structure is breaking down." In the Draxian base, Jack's team reached a large chamber filled with holographic displays. The aliens inside were distracted, trying to deal with the chaos of battle. Jack gave the signal, and his team attacked with their special radiation weapons. The fight was brief but intense. The Draxians were physically stronger than humans, but Jack's team had the element of surprise. Soon, they controlled the room. "Secure that equipment," Jack ordered. "Download everything you can." Eric found a large display showing the entire Draxian fleet. "My God," he whispered. "Look at this." The display revealed hundreds more ships positioned throughout the solar system. Mars wasn't just a forward base. It was a staging area for a massive invasion fleet. "We need to get this information back to Earth," Jack said. Above Mars, the tide of battle had turned. The Draxian ships, without central command, fought less effectively. The human fleet pressed their advantage. "Their formation is breaking," Lisa reported to Earth Command. "They're retreating." Major Miller made a bold decision. "Don't let them regroup. Push forward. Take the base." The human fleet pursued the fleeing Draxian ships, destroying several more. On the surface, more troops landed to secure the base. By the end of the day, Mars was in human hands. The cost had been high, 7 ships lost, hundreds of brave men and women dead. But the victory was decisive. In the captured base, scientists found treasures beyond value. Draxian technology, weapons, ship designs, and most importantly, maps showing the location of other alien worlds. Sam Harris stood on a hill overlooking the captured base, watching human flags being raised on Mars for the first time. The planet that humans had dreamed of colonizing for generations was now theirs, one in battle against an enemy that had sought to destroy them. The counterattack had succeeded beyond their highest hopes. Now humanity would take the fight beyond their solar system. The Draxians had wanted war, and Earth would bring it to their doorstep. 1 year after the victory at Mars, humans were no longer fighting only for Earth. They were fighting for the stars. The Draxian star maps had revealed a galaxy full of other worlds and species. Many of these had also suffered under Draxian attacks. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant. The ship had been rebuilt, bigger and stronger than before. It now carried technology that was part human, part Draxian. "Jump drive charged," Ben Chen reported from his station. "Ready for our first trip beyond the solar system." Lisa took a deep breath. No human had ever traveled to another star before. "Take us to the Proxima Centauri system," she ordered. The space around the ship seemed to bend. Stars streaked past the viewports. Then suddenly, they were there, orbiting a planet around Earth's nearest stellar neighbor. Dr. Olivia Wright joined Lisa on the bridge. Over the past year, she had become the leading expert on alien cultures and languages. According to the Draxian records, this planet is called Alar by its people. They've been resisting Draxian rule for decades. The ship's sensors detected cities on the surface and signs of recent battles. They're still fighting, Lisa said. Let's introduce ourselves. Making contact with the Ilarians was delicate work. The aliens, tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms, were suspicious at first. They had never seen humans before and feared a new Draxian trick. Olivia led the first meeting. She had learned some of their language from the Draxian files. "We come as friends," she said carefully in their clicking musical language. "We fight the same enemy." Slowly, trust grew. The Ilarians shared their story. The Draxians had attacked their world 30 years ago, demanding resources and slaves. The Ilarians had fought back but were losing the war. "You defeated them at Mars?" asked Krell, the Ilarian leader, his 4 eyes wide with surprise when Olivia translated the human victory. "Yes," Lisa replied, "and we can help you fight them here." Back on Earth, Nancy Kim worked with a team of scientists from around the world. They had made huge progress with Draxian technology. The new ships being built in orbit combined the best of human creativity with alien advancements. "The shield modifications are complete," Nancy told General Frank Taylor. "The new fleet will be ready in 3 months." The general nodded approvingly. "And the weapons?" "Dr. Jones has improved the radiation emitters. They're more powerful and have longer range now." In another part of the facility, Sam Harris trained new pilots on the simulator. The captured Draxian ships had very different controls than human craft. Sam had learned to fly them during the Mars campaign, and now passed on his knowledge. "Think of it as an extension of your body," he explained to a young pilot. "The neural interface reads your intentions more than your physical movements." Across the hallway, Jack Collins prepared for his next mission. After the success on Mars, he had been promoted to colonel and given command of the 1st Interstellar Strike Force. "We leave for the Ilarian system tomorrow," he told his team. "Captain Martinez has made contact with the locals. They're willing to join our fight against the Draxians." Eric Bradley, now Jack's second in command, studied the star maps. "If we secure alliances in these 3 systems, we can create a buffer zone between Earth and Draxian space." The war had expanded beyond what anyone could have imagined when the alien ships first appeared near Jupiter. Humanity was now fighting across multiple star systems, leading an alliance of species against the Draxian Empire. Major Patricia Miller coordinated fleet operations from the new space station orbiting Mars. The Red Planet had become humanity's forward base, much as it had been for the Draxians before. "The Draxians are pulling back from these outer systems," she told the Allied commanders during a strategy meeting. "They're concentrating their forces closer to their core worlds." Dr. Olivia Wright, who had returned from Proxima Centauri with critical intelligence, added, "Their empire is larger than we thought, but it's not as stable. Many conquered species are using our success as inspiration for their own rebellions." This was both good and bad news. The rebellion stretched Draxian forces thin, but it also made them more desperate and dangerous. On the USS Defiant, now stationed in the Ilarian system, Lisa received new orders from Earth Command. "We're to proceed to these coordinates," she told her crew. "Intelligence suggests there's a major Draxian supply depot there." Ben looked at the star chart with concern. "That's deep in their territory, Captain." "Yes, it is," Lisa agreed. "But if we can destroy it, we'll cripple their operations. In this entire sector, the mission would be dangerous." The USS Defiant would lead a small strike force of 5 ships, 3 human vessels and 2 Ilarian cruisers. They would use a new technology developed by Nancy Kim's team, a device that could briefly mask their energy signatures, making them nearly invisible to Draxian sensors. As they prepared to depart, Jack Collins and his strike team arrived on the Defiant. Their job would be to board the depot and plant explosives at key points before the main attack began. "Good to see you, Colonel," Lisa greeted Jack. "Ready for another adventure?" Jack smiled grimly. Always ready to give the Draxians what they asked for. The mission began smoothly. The small fleet jumped into position near a red giant star that helped mask their approach. The supply depot, a massive space station surrounded by patrol ships, floated in the distance. "Masking technology engaged," Ben reported. We're effectively invisible for the next 30 minutes. Jack and his team boarded their specially designed assault shuttle. "See you when it's done, Captain," he said to Lisa before the shuttle bay. Doors closed. The small craft slipped away from the Defiant, heading for the depot's least guarded access point. Inside the shuttle, Eric checked his team's equipment one last time. "Remember, we're not just destroying this place," Jack reminded them. "We need to download their database first. Intelligence says it might contain the location of their homeworld." Finding the Draxian home planet had become humanity's primary goal. After a year of fighting across dozens of star systems, Earth's leaders had realized they could never win a war of attrition against an empire that spanned so much of the galaxy. They needed to strike at the heart of Draxian power. The shuttle docked with the depot, using codes stolen from a captured Draxian courier ship. Jack's team moved quickly through the station, avoiding patrols and planting explosives at power junctions and fuel storage areas. In the central control room, they found what they were looking for: access to the main computer. While most of the team stood guard, Eric connected their data device and began downloading files. "This is taking too long," Jack said, checking the time. Their window of stealth was closing. "Almost there," Eric replied. "This database is huge." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. They had been discovered. "Time to go," Jack ordered, firing at the first Draxians to enter the control room. "Eric, grab that device and move. Back." On the Defiant, Lisa saw the depot's defenses coming online. "They've spotted them. Begin the attack. All ships target those patrol vessels." The human and Alarian ships dropped their stealth and opened fire. The surprise was still enough to give them an advantage. 3 Draxian patrol ships exploded before they could react. Jack's team fought their way back to their shuttle, the precious data device secured. They launched just as the first explosives they had planted began to detonate inside the station. The depot began to break apart as chain reactions spread through its structure. Jack's shuttle raced toward the Defiant, pursued by Draxian fighters. "Cover that shuttle," Lisa ordered. The Defiant moved to intercept, its weapons clearing a path for Jack's return. Once the shuttle was safely aboard, Lisa gave the order to withdraw. "All ships jump to the rendezvous point." The Allied fleet escaped just as the depot exploded completely, taking the remaining Draxian forces with it. The mission was a success, but the war was far from over. Now, with the new intelligence, they would take the fight directly to the enemy's home. The data from the Draxian supply depot revealed what humanity had been searching for: the location of the Draxian homeworld. It was a large planet orbiting a yellow star, much like Earth, but with higher gravity and denser atmosphere. The Draxians called it Draxos Prime. In the 2 years since first contact, the war had changed Earth forever. Cities were being rebuilt. New technologies had transformed daily life. Humans were no longer alone in the universe. They had allies among the stars. General Frank Taylor stood before the United Earth Council, the governing body formed during the war. Representatives from every nation sat around the large table. On screens along the walls, leaders from allied alien species watched. "We now have the ability to strike directly at the Draxian homeworld," the general said. "Our combined fleet is ready. This could end the war." The council debated the plan. Some wanted immediate action. Others worried about the risks. "This is not just about revenge," said the council president. "It's about securing peace for all our peoples." In the end, they voted to proceed. Operation Homecoming would begin in 1 week. On Mars base, Jack Collins briefed his ground team. They would lead the assault on the Draxian capital city. "Intelligence suggests their society is more complex than we thought," Jack explained. "Dr. Wright has discovered evidence of internal conflict among their leadership." Dr. Olivia Wright had spent months studying Draxian culture and language. She now believed that not all Draxians supported the war. Their military leaders have controlled their society for generations, she told the team. But there are signs of a resistance movement, scientists and common citizens who want peace. This information added a new dimension to their mission. If they could contact these rebel Draxians, they might find allies on the enemy homeworld itself. In orbit around Earth, the largest fleet ever assembled prepared for departure. Over 100 ships from 7 different species, led by humanity. The USS Defiant, now commanded by Admiral Lisa Martinez, would serve as the flagship. All systems check complete, reported Ben Chen, still at Lisa's side after all these years of war. The fleet is ready to jump. Lisa looked at the view screen showing Earth below them. The planet had suffered greatly, but had emerged stronger. Signal all ships, she said. Begin Operation Homecoming. One by one, the ships activated their jump drives, technology that had not existed on Earth 3 years earlier. In a flash of light, they vanished from Earth orbit. Light years away, they reappeared near the edge of the Draxian home system. Immediately, alarms sounded throughout the fleet. Draxian defense grid detected, Ben reported. They know we're here. Lisa had expected this. All ships battle formation. First wave target those defense platforms. The Battle of Draxos Prime had begun. It would be the largest space battle in human history. Draxian ships rushed to meet the Allied fleet. Energy weapons flashed across the void. Ships on both sides exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. The USS Defiant took heavy damage in the initial exchange. Shields at 40%, Ben called out as the bridge shook around them. Port weapons offline. Reroute power, Lisa ordered. Keep us in the fight. Sam Harris led a squadron of fighters, piloting one of the hybrid craft that combined human and Draxian technology. His squadron darted between the larger ships, targeting weapon systems and engines. Break right, he called to his pilots as Draxian fire swept past them. Target their sensor arrays. On the ground, Dr. William Jones activated the device he had spent the last year perfecting, based on Draxian technology but improved by human creativity. It would disrupt the aliens' hive mind control network. If it worked, individual Draxians would be freed from their military leaders' control. Power levels stable, he reported to Earth Command. Initiating disruption field now. On Draxos Prime, the effect was immediate. Across the planet, Draxians suddenly felt their mental connections weaken. For the first time in generations, many experienced true individual thought. In the capital city, a Draxian scientist named Krell felt the change. For years, he had secretly questioned his species' endless wars. Now, he found himself able to act on those thoughts. He was not alone. Throughout the city, others like him began to gather. Jack Collins and his team landed on the planet's surface using stealth shuttles. Their mission was to disable the main planetary defense system, allowing the Allied fleet to gain the upper hand. Move quickly, Jack told his team as they made their way through the alien city. We have a small window before they organize a response. Eric Bradley led half the team toward the Defense Control Center. Jack took the other half toward the government complex. As they moved through the streets, they noticed something strange. Groups of Draxians fighting each other. Dr. Jones's device must be working, Jack realized. They're turning against their leaders. In orbit, the battle raged on. The Allied fleet had destroyed most of the outer defenses, but at great cost. Nearly a third of their ships had been lost. Admiral, Ben called to Lisa. I'm detecting unusual activity in the Draxian fleet. Some of their ships have stopped firing. Others are attacking their own kind. Lisa leaned forward in her command chair. The disruption field is affecting their ships too. Push forward. Target any vessels still fighting us. On the planet, Jack's team reached the government complex. To their surprise, they found it already under attack by Draxians. Krell and his followers had risen against their military rulers. We seek peace, Krell told Jack when they met in the central plaza. His alien voice was translated by Dr. Wright's software. Not all Draxians wanted this war. Together, the human strike team and Draxian rebels stormed the complex. They captured the supreme commander of the Draxian forces, effectively decapitating their military leadership. Jack opened a channel to the Defiant. Admiral Martinez, the government center is secure. We have their leader. In space, the tide had turned decisively. With their command structure in chaos and many ships no longer fighting, the Draxian fleet was being defeated. All enemy vessels have surrendered or withdrawn, Ben reported. Lisa allowed herself to breathe for the first time in hours. Signal the fleet. Cease fire. The Battle of Draxos Prime was over. The war that had begun with an unprovoked attack on Earth had ended on the Draxian homeworld, but not with the extinction of their species as many humans might once have wished. Instead, a new government formed on Draxos Prime. Krell and other reform-minded Draxians took control, promising peace and cooperation with other species. The military caste that had ruled for generations was removed from power. 1 month later, representatives from all allied species gathered on a neutral world to form the Galactic Council. Humans, once confined to a single planet, now sat as equals, with species that had traveled the stars for millennia. Admiral Lisa Martinez stood beside General Taylor as they watched the signing of the peace treaty. Earth would never be the same. Humanity had been forced to grow up quickly, to take its place among the stars. They wanted war, Lisa said quietly, echoing the words she had spoken years ago as the first Draxian ships approached Earth. And we gave it to them? Yes, the general replied, watching as a human and a Draxian shook hands at the treaty table. But in the end, we gave them something better too. What's that? Lisa asked. A future, he said. For all of us.